All right, welcome to Pine Tribe's first interview. I'm Ben Pizzetti. I'm an Australian living in Denmark, working for Pine Tribe, and I'm here with Martin Bjerregaard, co-founder of Pine Tribe.
Hi.
Say hello, Martin.
Hi.
And today we're going to be interviewing Alexander Kjerulf, one of the world's leading experts on happiness at work, and the author of Happy Hour is 9 to 5.
What a beautiful book. Beautiful, beautiful book. I like it.
Alexander's been speaking about happiness at work in over 30 countries with an impressive list of big companies. And today we're just going to talk to him about the ideas behind what he speaks about and writes about.
Yeah, and please allow me to share a little funny fact about Denmark to start with, about Scandinavia. We drink lots of water. I actually think all of us here on the call, we have a glass of water, don't we? And we drink water because it's healthy. The Americans have their coffee, the Brits have their tea. We actually prefer water at most occasions, even though of course we also drink tea or coffee now and then. And we drink tap water because it's good for the environment. And in general, in Scandinavia, we are quite conscious about the environment, and moving bottles around is not the best idea. So that's why, if you see us sipping our glasses of tap water, now you know.
Yeah. All right. So Alexander, we'll kick off with our first question. Mm-hmm. How are you feeling today, Alexander?
I'm awesome.
Always awesome. So what is your big message about personal growth?
My big message, my focus is on happiness at work. A lot of people go to work, day in and day out, year in and year out, and hate what they do, and they still go in every day, and I think that's a crying shame. I think we should like our jobs. Call me weird. You're going to spend more waking hours at your job than on anything else. And I think that if you are happy most of the time while you're at work, if you actually like your job, if you wake up in the morning excited to go to work, that has a lot of really positive effects. Not only on your work life, you will enjoy work more, but also on your private life. You will be happier in the rest of your life. And I think this is interesting, you will also be more successful, because people who like what they do a better job. We know that from a lot of research, and end up being more successful. So that is really my whole message is it's possible to be happy at work. It's possible to have a job you love, and I think everybody should.
Yeah. And why are you so passionate about this specific message, Alexander? I can really, feel your passion for it. Can you let us in? Have you been miserable to start with yourself, or what's been going on?
I have absolutely tried both. I have had jobs that I loved and that I was so excited about, and I have been so miserable at work at other times. I at one point I had a year where I hated my job, where I woke up most mornings just wishing that I didn't have to go to work today, and that was probably the worst year of my life. I have never in my life been so miserable, both at work and at home. So from my personal experience, I've tried both. And I've also seen it in a lot of other people. I've seen what happens to people when they love what they do. They have this passion for their job. They do great work. They have this energy and this excitement. And I've seen what happens to people when they hate their job. They become, they have these dead eyes. You can tell people, you can tell when people hate their jobs, and what it does to them at work and at home. And it's, I can't stand to see it. And about 10 years ago, I left the software industry. I had my own IT company here in Copenhagen. And I thought, you know what? Happiness at work is so important. Somebody should really do something about that. And that's when I founded my company, which is called Woohoo!
Not Woohoo. I like Woohoo.
That. Not Woohoo. Just
Yeah.
Alexander, you speak about happiness at work with a lot of different companies. Mm-hmm. What are the common things that you see in these companies that create unhappiness in the workplace?
Yeah, I think the three major things that are making people unhappy at work right now are, first of all, bad management. That is the number one factor that makes people hate their jobs, is if you have a bad relationship with your immediate manager, or your immediate manager is just a jerk. Oh yeah. and that happens to people. So bad management is definitely the number one thing that makes us unhappy at work. Number two is busyness, and being busy can be nice. It can actually be a lot of fun. But what I'm talking about is this constant busyness where there's just always too much work. People are always behind, and there's no possible way you could ever catch up and get all the stuff done that you need to do. That has an incredibly negative effect on people. And the third thing that I've seen that makes people unhappy at work is sort of just a bad mood in the office. Bad communication, bad relationships between coworkers. Constant complaining, constant gossiping, constant bickering, where you just create this very negative culture in the workplace. I think those three taken together probably account for a lot of the unhappiness we see in workplaces around the world.
So the first one you mentioned is the manager being a jerk.
Oh yeah.
What's kind of the typical ways managers are jerks in your experience?
There are different kinds of bad managers. Okay, there are bad managers who don't really know that they're bad and honestly want to do better. Okay, and those managers you can actually work with, and you can say, you know what, dear manager, when you do this, that actually has a very negative effect on me. And some of the things they might do is, I've seen managers, for instance, I saw a manager who was always late for meetings. Every time he had a meeting with employees, he was 20 minutes late. And you can say that's a small thing, but that's just really annoying. And it's just a sign, that shows lack of respect, if you ask me.
Mm-hmm. It's that, my time is more important than yours idea.
Yeah, exactly. I've seen managers who are just rude, who just, are just disrespectful in their communications, the way they talk to people. A very simple thing that I see a lot of managers get wrong is that they don't say good morning to their employees. It's such a stupid thing. They come into work, their employees are there, they just ignore them, go into their own office and start working. That's such a stupid mistake. Yeah. But some managers are bad, but they want to get better, and those managers you can actually teach. But other managers just don't care. Okay, they're like, it's my way or the highway. And if you don't like my style, that's your problem. And those managers who don't want to learn and get better, if you find yourself working for one of those, things won't get better. And probably the only option is to get out of there and get away from that manager.
Yeah. So what's a typical rude sentence that you heard? I'm just wondering, is there something that managers would often say that maybe they don't perceive it as being rude, but in your experience and from working with employees, and that this is actually something that takes out a lot of happiness and energy in an organization?
Yeah, maybe it's not so much the things they say, but maybe the things they don't say. Some managers will never say thank you. When writing an email, this is kind of, why don't you start your email with, "Hi, Steve, I really need that report. Best regards," whatever, right? A lot of managers don't do that. They'll just, "I need that report now." This is just basic manners. Stuff like apologizing. If you're the manager, occasionally you're going to make a mistake. And some managers just refuse to apologize. They see apologizing as admitting failure or admitting weakness. And I think that's absolutely stupid. If you get it wrong, you need to apologize to your employees and say, I screwed up. Here's what I did wrong. Here's what I've learned. And that, I think a lot of that is just simple, basic manners. This is not, I visited a company in the US where they said everything you need to know about leadership, you should have learned in kindergarten.
That's good.
Yeah.
I think maybe some employees trying to make their workplace more happy, they could feel limited by the resources or the power that they have in the organization. What are the little things people can do to kind of bring more energy to their workplace or their office or their team?
I think the most important thing to realize is that you do make a difference. A lot of people say, sure, I'd like to be happy at work, but that's entirely up to the boss. And that's just not true. Everybody makes a difference every single day, and you have a massive influence on the people around you and everybody you meet at work. So you can make a difference. The important thing is to realize what it is that makes us happy at work. And a lot of people get that completely wrong. Okay, a lot of people think that happiness at work is about, it's about the salary, right? If I get a raise, then I will be happy. Or it's about a bonus, or it's about, the pension plan, or perks, or, whatever. But if you look at the science behind the research done into this, that turns out not to be true. You should absolutely get the salary you deserve, and if you deserve a bonus, you should get a bonus. That's fine. But those are not the things that determine whether or not we enjoy work. It's not what makes us happy. The salary is what makes it possible to go to work. But what makes us happy at work are results and relationships. That's our model, results and relationships. Results is when you're good at your job. You're really good at what you do, you rock, and you make a positive difference at work, for your clients, for your customers, for the company. You know that you are needed and you do meaningful, good work. That's results. And relationships is when you like the people you work with. You like your coworkers, you have a good relationship with your manager, that kind of thing. And if you look at the research, those are the two things that make us happy at work, results and relationships. That's what you need to focus on. So as an employee of some company, if you want to be happier at work, the question is, how can you get better results? How can you create better relationships?
And when you're saying results, Alexander, is it mainly your own individual results, or is it also the results or the success of the overall company?
I think mostly it's about knowing that you make a difference, that you personally are good at what you do, that you are needed, valued, and that your job has meaning to you on a personal level. But that being said, it's also important to be able to enjoy the success of others. So if your team is successful, that also feels good to you, absolutely. But more than anything else, what makes us happy is knowing that I contributed, I made a difference, I am needed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what we need to focus on.
If you're in very difficult circumstances where it's going down, maybe there's a financial downturn and you lose a lot of clients, and it's just so difficult to get new ones, and you fight and fight and fight, but it's just so difficult to produce those results. Can you still be happy at work?
And an interesting thing about results is that the harder you have to fight to get those results, the better it feels when you get them. Okay? A lot of people have a very confused idea about happiness at work. And they think that work makes you happy when it's easy, when it's simple, when it's comfortable, right? And that turns out not to be true. When I ask people, tell me about your happiest moment at work, a lot of people will tell me about, I was working on this project. We were up against all odds. It was so complicated, so difficult, but we made it. And the fact that you were struggling and you had to fight and pull together, but then you succeeded, that actually feels amazing. And that makes us way happier than working on something, a project that is just easy and fun and nice, and then you complete it. So there's actually something about, happiness at work is not about doing the easy thing, it's about doing great work, sometimes against all odds. That being said, there are also workplaces that will put you in a situation where you cannot succeed. Okay, the goals are too ambitious. You're not given the support or the tools or whatever it is you need to succeed. And if your company is setting you up to fail, if they're putting you in a situation where you cannot get results in any way, there's no way you're going to be happy at work, because there's no way you're going to get those results.
Yeah.
Alexander, I was thinking the happiness at work, work-life balance, especially these cool workplaces you always see coming up on the internet.
Yeah.
When people talk about happiness at work, the classic case is always Google comes up. So what is it about Google that has everyone talking about how to be happy at work? What do they do right?
That is such a great question, because people get that exactly wrong. When people look at Google and you as a great workplace, they are a great workplace. And when people write articles about Google, they focus on the free food and the gyms and the swimming pools and the fact that Lady Gaga will come by and give a concert, and Obama will come by and speak, and all of that. Now, I actually went there. I went to the Googleplex in California, in Mountain View, year before last, 2012, and got a tour. And I talked to people there. And when I asked them, okay, what do you like about your job? That's not what they mention. It's not what they say. What one guy told me that, what I love about my job is that I get to do things that nobody has ever done. He was working on groundbreaking technology. What he was working on had never been done in the world. It was completely new, had massive potential, and he was so proud to be working on something that was groundbreaking. Okay, by the way, that's results. Okay, that is working on something that's really cool, that you're really good at, that makes a difference, and that makes you really proud. I talked to another lady, and she said, you know what? I love my work here, but the most important thing to me is that I've been here 3 months, I have made so many friends. She said that Google is basically a pressure cooker because people are always working really hard on these important projects. So people get to know each other really quickly. Also, Google are very careful who they hire, and they try to hire nice people.
Yeah, we saw that in the internship.
Exactly. Few people know that's actually a documentary. So basically, you make friends there, you make connections, you help each other out. There's a good mood. You have great relationships. So when you look at, I think, why Google are so successful, why they're such a great workplace, and why they're at the top of the best workplaces lists in the U.S., it's not the cafeterias, it's not the salaries, it's not the swimming pools. It's results and relationships. Getting great people together, let them do an awesome job, and create great relationships in the office. That's what it takes, and that's what Google gets right. I think personally, Google needs all that other stuff to be able to recruit people in Silicon Valley. I think you can draw in people with swimming pools and cafeterias and all of that. But whether or not they're happy when they're there and doing great work, that depends on results and relationships, I think.
Yeah. I sense that sometimes people get provoked when they hear this talk about work happiness and this notion that you can be passionate and enjoying your work. It resonates with a lot of people, but also some people can actually get really angry when someone will talk about this topic. What's your experience about that?
We do face some resistance. There are people who say, "Well, I'm not at work to be happy. I'm at work to work," and I actually agree with that. I want to make this perfectly clear. We don't go to work to be happy. We go to work to work. Okay, that's why we're there. That's why the company pays our salary. That's the purpose of the company, is to do great work. But if we are happy at work, we do a much better job. And that's what those people don't realize, those people who are against happiness at work. They fail to realize that happiness at work is actually a success factor, maybe the most important success factor today, and that happy companies make more money. There is a lot of research behind this. And the research shows that happy people are more productive. They get more work done. They are more creative. They have more and better ideas. They give better customer service. Happy people have lower absenteeism rates. Happy people have lower employee turnover. And all of this means that happy companies have higher sales, higher customer loyalty, and a better bottom line. So the people who say, we shouldn't care if our employees are happy, we should just care about profits, they get it exactly wrong, because happy employees will make the company more money. And there are so many examples of this around the world now.
Yeah.
The research side of things.
Of course, this is where we Danes have an advantage, right? Because happiness at work is just a common and accepted part of Scandinavian workplace culture. In Scandinavia, people expect to be happy at work, and we won't put up with jerk managers and toxic workplaces. And that's also, I think, in part because we have a word for happiness at work, and the rest of the world does not. This weird Danish word, arbejdsglæde, which exists only in the Scandinavian languages and in no other language on the planet.
Yeah, you told me that. I didn't even know that. But it's
Yeah,
it's a
kind of
very
interesting.
common word in Denmark, but
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I never thought about that. There wasn't that. I work for it in other countries as well, in
Oh,
other languages.
interestingly, the just as an example, in Japanese, there's no word for happiness at work. There's a word called karoshi.
Yeah.
Means death from over.
Death from overwork, great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about the research, that we know that happiness at work can make workers more productive, more creative, and that side of it's really interesting. But how is it that we're measuring these things? I know you've said before that these job satisfaction surveys, they've gone in the wrong direction, and they're
Yeah.
not actually measuring true happiness.
No, there is what most companies focus on and measure is not happiness; it's job satisfaction. And it turns out that that's an okay measure, but it's actually not the best thing to measure because happiness and satisfaction are not the same thing. Um, and the difference is probably that happiness is how you feel. It's your emotional state at work. And we know people's emotional state has a massive influence on every aspect of their life, including their productivity and their health. Whereas satisfaction is more of an intellectual, rational judgment. All things considered, how satisfied am I with my life? So you could say that job satisfaction is what you think about your job, but happiness at work is how you feel about your job. And that turns out to have much more of an effect on you than satisfaction. And it also has a much larger effect on your job performance. I've actually seen some studies that found a very weak, quite weak correlation between job satisfaction and performance, but a very high correlation between happiness at work and performance. But unfortunately, that's not what most companies measure. Most companies still measure satisfaction because it's easier and because that's what everybody else does.
Mm.
Yeah, and also it might sound a bit hippie-like to talk about happiness at work for a lot of companies still, and to measure it. Whereas
That is
job
the
satisfaction is a more neutral way of expressing it in a way.
Yes. I think that very much plays into it. And a lot of workplaces are not really equipped to deal with people's emotions. Okay? They have this idea that, people should have their emotions in their spare time. Trying to be emotional, just be at home, right? And when you work, you should not have emotions. You should be cool, calm, collected, and professional. But that is not, we know from a lot of psychological research that this is not how people are, okay? We are emotional creatures, and we have our emotions in everything we do and in every aspect of our lives, including in our work lives. And when good things happen at work, that makes us happy. When bad things happen at work, that makes us angry, frustrated, nervous, stressed. And the more you try to ignore this, the more of an effect it actually has on people. So workplaces, that is the radical shift, I think. Workplaces need to be able to deal with the fact that people have emotions at work. And if a workplace can create a culture where it creates more positive emotions in people and fewer negative emotions in people, that has a lot of positive effect on people and on their job performance. And that is really what we're talking about. That is the idea of happiness at work.
I noticed how Sheryl Sandberg, the CEO of Facebook, have admitted that she has been crying at Mark Zuckerberg's shoulder at work
Really?
once.
Hadn't heard that.
Yeah. So,
and there are so many examples of this. I was visiting one of our clients, a company in Denmark that we work with, and I talked to one of the managers there, and she told me this story that the other day she came into work, and she noticed that one of her employees was looking really sad. And this is where you have a choice as a manager, right? You can say, well, he's looking sad, not my problem.
Yeah.
He's not here to feel anything, he's here to do his job. But that's not what she did. So, she goes up to him and she says, is there anything wrong? Can I help you? And they went to a meeting room, they grabbed a cup of coffee, and they talked things out. It turned out that there wasn't really anything wrong at work. He had some problems in his private life, sickness in the family that really affected him. But just the fact that she showed that she cared and that she offered to help, just that fact actually cheered him up. It showed him he had support. It showed him that the company cares about him. And that made him very, very happy in a difficult situation. That is really the choice you're facing as a company or as a manager. Is do you want to ignore that kind of thing, or do you want to help?
Mm.
Yeah. Will you allow us to maybe get to know you a bit better, Alexander?
Sure.
I'm just wondering now. This is your work, and you seem very happy about it. But what's your own weakness? When do you lose your happiness at work? It must happen now and then. I'm imagining. You're only human.
Of course it does. That's a great question, and I want to make this perfectly clear. I'm not happy every day. Nobody's happy every day. Okay, this is not about creating an ideal, idyllic workplace where everybody's happy all the time. That is impossible. Okay, even in the best workplaces in the world, there are frustrating events, and things go wrong, and there's conflict and tension, and that's fine. Okay, personally, for me. What I suck at, happiness-wise, is that I'm very bad at appreciating what I have. Okay, some people are very good at that. They're very good at being grateful and appreciative of all the good things in their life. I have many, many good things in my life. I'm not very good at appreciating them. I'm always looking to the future and saying, oh, so what's the next thing? What's missing? What could we go for? And as soon as I achieve something, I just take it for granted and say, hey, that's nice. What's the next thing?
Yeah.
And it actually turns out, if you look to the happiness research, people who appreciate what they already have are much happier than the people who are always looking to the next thing, the next goal, the next challenge. Okay?
Yeah.
So that is definitely one thing I would like to be much, much better at, is appreciating the good things that are already in my life, and something that I'm working on learning.
Yeah. So you mean when you're already out in 30 countries with your books and your talks and all that, you're thinking about how can I go to 40 instead of really appreciating?
That's how my mind works. I'm not proud of it or anything. This is something I'd honestly like to change.
Okay. Some people would say, but isn't that exactly this kind of drive that has gotten you to be a recognized expert in and out in 30 countries? Could you have gotten to the same place without that drive and that unsatisfaction and sometimes even unhappiness?
Yes, I think I definitely could have. Here's the thing. A lot of people think, I think this is a mistake, but a lot of people think that, that you get your energy from dissatisfaction, from looking at what you don't have and going for that. But I actually don't think that's necessarily true. I think if you're really, really happy in your current situation, okay, if you can appreciate the good things in your life, that actually gives you more optimism, more energy, more positivity, and more creativity. And those are exactly the qualities you need in order to reach your next goal, whatever that may be. There is a misconception that happy people are complacent. That once you're happy, you just sit down and you sit in your couch and you say, oh my God, I'm happy. I don't need to do anything ever. And that's actually not how happy people are. Happy people are awesome because they believe in the future. They are optimistic. They have energy. Happy people are also very, very good at engaging others in what they do, because when you're happy and cheerful, people like you. Okay? So I think I could have gotten just as far or even further if I had been very good at appreciating the things I have. And I don't think you have to be constantly dissatisfied to always be improving. You can improve even if you are happy.
Mm-hmm.
That was a long speech, huh?
I enjoyed it.
Glad you liked it.
On that note, in the interest of not tiring out your voice box too much, Alexander, thank you very much for joining us today.
Pleasure. My pleasure.
We could talk about happiness on and on all day, but it won't be productive. It won't be a very good YouTube video. No one.
Yeah, exactly.
So viewers can buy the book Happy Hours 9 to 5 on pinetribe.com, and you can also get it up. Alexander's got his copy as well.
I hear it's
I have already read it and enjoyed it.
oh, thanks.
We can also get it on Amazon, Google Play, iBooks, and Barnes & Noble. So Pine Tribe's going to be doing more of these interviews with a range of interesting authors and other people who have thoughts for growth to share with the world. So you can check out pinetribe.com for more articles and more videos, interviews, and also more books on well-being and happiness from Scandinavia. And also sign up for the newsletter on pinetribe.com or subscribe to the YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, all of that stuff. And I hope to see you next time. Thanks, Alexander. Thank you, Martin.
Thank you. Have a lovely day.
Thanks, guys.
Take care.
Bye.